what was I gonna say? Step ups are one of the best exercises to grow your glutes. But a lot of people struggle with these, which means that they're not getting great engagement and then they're not getting great results. So I'm gonna show you one of the best step up variations you can do if you really wanna grow some glutes. We're not gonna use my glutes as an example because I avoided step ups for most of my life and I just inherently have small glutes, okay? They're small, but they're mighty bish. First of all, there's a couple mistakes I see people make often, and that's why they're not getting as much from a step up as they could. For a lot of people, they actually lack the balance and stability to be able to perform this movement, so it winds up becoming a balancing act the entire time, which has you focusing more on the balance than actually engaging your glutes. So, two things we can do. One, grab a stick, a bar, a broom, and beat away anybody that tries to steal your bench. No, I'm just kidding. We are not putting all of our weight into this pole and pushing ourselves up off of it. We are merely using it to increase our base of support, which is going to increase our stability as a whole. But the other thing you can do is actually warm up properly. Listen, you guys, I'm not using that, girl. Did you want this? No, you get all your... This movement, as we talked about, requires a really great amount of stability as I fall off the bench. When you are looking at doing a movement that requires stability around the ankles, knees, and hips, then guess what? You need to warm up the ankles, knees, and hips. If you're struggling to know what to do to warm up for a lot of single leg movements like, what are these again? Step ups. I'm on another level today. Then just let me know in the comments and I will absolutely drop a warm up. If people have heard this before, but if your bench is too high, you are going to work more of your quads or momentum than you are your glutes. If your bench is too high, what's going to happen is you're naturally going to push your knee forward in order to get leverage over the height so that you can actually step up. And the more your knees go over your toes, the more knee flexion and extension we're going to wind up getting, which means that the more our quads are going to be involved. Remember, whenever we're talking about working your glutes, it's about what goes on at the hip. When we're talking about working your quads, it's about what goes on at the knee. So we want to keep the knees from going over the toes as much as possible. I would literally say the lower the step, the better. Aim for anywhere from like mid shin to underneath the knee. And the last thing a lot of people struggle with is actually keeping tension in their glutes. Hear me out, hear me out. What makes this movement so great is that not only are we training them in a shortened or the contraction phase of the movement, but if you are able to control your descent, you are now training the glutes under tension in the lengthening phase. But a lot of people struggle when they use a dumbbell here. Why? You have to remember that gravity is always playing a role in your movement. If this is the resistance and gravity is pulling you in an up and down manner, a lot of people are not able to come up to the top of the movement and then resist gravity and keep control and stability here so that they have tension while they come down. So this is one of the best glute variations that's going to help with all of those things. Let me introduce you to your new bestie. The other thing with the dumbbell is that it's hard for people to maintain a hinge. Whenever we're talking about glute focus anything, having a hinge at the hips is going to be very beneficial because again, when you're working your glutes, it's about what goes on at the hips, baby. A lot of people start off with a great hinge here, but then as they come up to the top, they wind up straightening out their upper body, taking them out of that hinge, which we don't want to have happen. First of all, cable is bomb because right off the hop, it's going to help us get into a more natural hinge position. Why? Because now your weight is pulling on a diagonal in front of you instead of straight up and down like it does with the dumbbell, which means that to counteract that weight, you are naturally going to wind up shooting your hips back. So, better hinge, check bitch. Lastly, with the dumbbell, you basically have no tension here at the bottom, okay? When you're standing here holding this, where is there tension being applied to your glutes? There is none. It's the equivalent of standing with a barbell on your back in a squat. There is no tension on your glutes when you're standing at the top of a squat. Same idea here. When you use a dumbbell, there's no tension at the bottom of the movement. The best benefits to using a cable is that you're going to have more tension throughout the entire movement. Our tension is coming from that cable stack, and because the cable is pulled away from the stack, there is literal tension here. We are again resisting that cable from pulling us forward. Yes, I'm not working through a range of motion, but it's still the aspect that we are applying tension in this fully lengthened position. So if you are trying to grow yourself some glutes that are bigger than mine, I swear I'm doing step ups, okay? Come back in 6 months. Then absolutely consider swapping the cable out. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Follow for more. Have a beautiful day, baby. Don't forget the app is launching middle of September. Get hyped, baby. Let's go.